Okay,
Good start.
we're
Yep. Hi, so welcome everyone. This is the Student CEOs in the AI Era Guidebook, and this is our critical design review of CDR. Our team members are Jillian Bacco, Max Carrillo, Kanika Gupta, Carolyn Mowry, and Jamie Roeder. Our sponsor is Jim Spower, and our advisors are Dr. Srinivas Tamvada and Dr. Sharika Bodal. This review confirms that our design is de-risked and ready for final production. So meaning that our objective for this review is to confirm that we have sufficiently de-risked our design idea, meaning that we are sure that our chosen solution won't fail later in our project. And also, the other objective for this presentation is to present our beta prototype plan and results. The outline for how this presentation is going to go is first we're going to talk about a project overview, what the project is, and how it, and sort of how what we're doing. Also going to go about the the bottom line of up front, the bluff, sorry, and our final solution concept. Also be showing our beta prototype plan results. Then we're going to talk about our updated requirements table and verification strategy. And then lastly, the program summary, meaning your schedule and budget. And as far as audience expectations, so for our audience, we're expecting them to make sure that, as mentioned earlier, to that we've de-risked um, our final implementation enough. And then we also ask for the audience to provide technical feedback on our requirements and make sure that our requirements match what's necessary. And finally, to confirm approval for the next stage of the project.
For the project overview, the problem we are solving is that industry executives are willing to mentor, but are constrained by time and confidentiality risks. For the tools, we are utilizing 5 AI digital workers, not 6, as discussed. Demonstrate the objective is to reduce mentor burden, and that's the result we are expecting. And the final deliverables for the project would be a white paper, a system service artifact, and a research poster.
So, our final solution is an AI mediated collaboration system that enables student CEO teams to work with mentors more efficiently. Our system, as Kanika just mentioned, uses 5 digital workers to help ideation and verify our project outputs. Uh, and as far as our beta prototype, we've implemented a workflow by testing sections 1.1, 1.2 of the guidebook using multiple agents to verify our results. And as far as section 1.1, 1.2, the results validated 18 out of 20 system requirements, which shows that AI cross-checking and human review is significantly improves the reliability of outputs. And as far as the final phase of the implementation would be the guidebook output, of course, where it'll be verified white paper sections, and we'll have a reusable AI collaboration workflow for future teams.
So for our beta prototype, we focused just on sections 1.1 and 1.2 because that's what we were improving that particular week. Um, and we did individual white paper edits and then used AI to pull all of our white papers together and consolidate them. Um, and then we were going to test our white paper using AI review as we would test a prototype. So if you go to the next slide. Yeah, so the test that we were doing on this section 1.1 and 1.2 was to take our white paper and put it back into the 5 AI agents and have them each flag inaccuracies, hallucinations, or also data that wasn't checked or potentially had a source error. Um, and then each AI agent that flagged each error was 1 point, so each error scored out of 5 based on how critical it was. And then we also categorize the errors as hallucinations, undesired info, or incorrect info. If you go to the next page, this graph shows um, how many errors were identified within each of the three categories. Um, Incorrect information, the most common kind of error that was flagged was just that sources weren't necessarily validated. So something moving forward that we will need to do is make sure that our sources are being validated. And there were only two errors that were flagged by all five agents. And one was that there was this 30-minute mentoring claim that didn't have a source linked to it, and also this 40% growth claim. Um, that was linked to a source that needed to be validated. So the most big takeaway from our testing on these sections is how can we validate sources moving forward using our AI agents to ensure that they're not just kind of pulling statistics out of nowhere, but that we have clear citations for those.
Yeah, and to preface a little bit more further about how we decided to approach this project, was more so the systems engineering effort rather than simply experimenting with AI tools. We did this in order to ensure the rigor and reliability. We structured the project around this formal engineering requirements by writing it with clear shall statements. And these requirements govern how the AI collaboration system operates, including safety, ethical AI use, confidentiality protections, environmental considerations, and systems reliability. Each one of these requirements is categorized by risk or design objective and was evaluated during the beta prototype phase to determine its validation status. Additionally, when testing revealed potential future models, such as hallucinated information or citation errors, we added new requirements to address those risks. This ensures that the system evolves through controlled engineering rather than simply ad hoc decisions. And then, Jamie, next slide, please. And following the beta prototype testing phase, we evaluated the validation status of all system requirements. Out of the 20 total requirements, the majority have already been fully validated through prototype implementation and testing. These include key safety and ethical AI confidentiality requirements. But two of these are currently considered partially validated. For example, the environmental efficiency requirement related to token usage has been conceptually addressed, but quantitative measures will be refined during later iterations. Similarly, the data-bound framework for AI interaction has been implemented conceptually, but will further formalized into a checklist-based framework. And one requirement related to the final deliverable review remains pending, um, as the official evaluation schedule is scheduled for April 24th. And overall, the results show that the system has achieved strong technical maturity and risk control prior to final project delivery.
Okay, so our verification cross-reference matrix was another kind of thing that resulted from our beta prototype. And so this establishes a methodology for validating each requirement, and this is talking about the final prototype. So as you can see, the first seven here, it tells you the verification method, the test procedure, the test resources, success criteria, and a note for the test owner. So each of us will be responsible with the final deliverable, this final white paper, to make sure that all of these requirements are met. And that was kind of divvied up between us. So these are the first seven. You can see some of them are done by inspection, they're demonstration. And then these are some more of them, so 8 through 14. Yeah, so we'll talk more about the budget later on. Some of these, again, are demonstrations or inspections, but you can see that number 13 would be a test. So we would use the AI platforms to actually simulate an industry sponsor. And then here are the remaining kind of requirements for our final prototype. And at the end, all of these requirements will be given a pass or fail scoring. So at the end of this project, we'll present those to you. And I believe we need to get like verbal confirmation that these are okay, like this test criteria. So I guess we can talk about that at the end.
So the team is on schedule with the timeline we presented to you in the last overview. We have successfully completed the first two sprints, and from section 1.1 to 1.2, 3.1, 2.1 to 2.2, and 3.1. And we are uh, logging everything on from different white papers that we are liking, disliking, or what we are including in a final version from a weekly sprint. For the next weeks, we plan to remain on schedule with different projects, different timelines, and different sections of the white paper the team completes. This is the same budget we've proposed. The team hasn't used any part of the budget yet. So, as for a quick summary of what we completed in this meeting was that we validated AI mediated collaboration model that was used for our beta prototype, a successful prototype execution, and a project timeline milestones were achieved.
And then now, if you guys have any questions or comments, I guess we can just open it up for discussion or questions or kind of wherever we want to go from here.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think if you scroll back to the beginning, I'll just go through quickly slide by slide and give you feedback. Okay, great. Very good. Next slide. Good. This terminology service system artifact, maybe that could be explained a little bit better. The I think in the white paper we call it the service system innovation, or I don't know if this, for example, I just don't know if this service system artifact is the startup ideas or if it's the workflow. If it's the workflow, then, according to like video 1 and video 2, those two videos I shared with you, the the flow. Well, keep going. I think that was the only thing that went off. I didn't understand there.
Actually, I had the exact same question. Like when you refer to the service system artifact, can we be a little bit more elaborate on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you please repeat that?
No, I had the exact same question that Jim was asking. When you refer to the service system artifact, can you please elaborate on that one?
Oh, sorry. Jim, could you please repeat that? It cut off for me a little bit. That's what I meant. Sorry.
The service, if you go back to the previous slide, that might make it
Mhm.
yeah, the only thing that was confusing here
Jim,
was,
your volume is very low. We can barely hear you.
oh, sorry. Can you hear me better now? Or not?
Yes, that's better.
I'll move my computer closer. Yeah, the service system artifact there was the only part that confused me. And I didn't know, I had two ideas in my head. One was the service system artifact is the startup ideas, or the service system artifact was the service system innovation workflow with which came from, video 1 and video 2, where you have um, all the students using the student CEOs using the AI. Then stage 2 is you talk to each other and learn how to talk to each other about what's best. And then stage 3 is when we have our 30-minute weekly meeting. You're each presenting to me like, here's what was, the key thing that we think was most valuable and beneficial to the client each week. So I wasn't quite sure if the service system artifact was the startup ideas or if it was the workflow. Is that, and so maybe you could just elaborate on which one it was.
So it was none of the above. I think we are maintaining a log book of prompts that we are using. That is what a service system artifact means in this regard.
Okay, so that's the prompt document would be the terminology that would have clicked in my brain. Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you. That clarifies it. Yeah, that anytime there's new terminology that isn't in something the client has provided, like this, it's good to maybe have a glossary or a definition or just spend a little extra. Okay.
Yeah, if you like in our most recent like white paper sprint, I know I worked on like a new section to add to the white paper that was talking about the like service system kind of dynamic there. So I guess that could also help kind of explain things. But yeah, I can go to the next slide.
Okay. Yeah, this one is pretty good. It doesn't quite show the 3-2-1 thing that's in video one and video two, but I got it. This was good. Next slide for me. Um, okay, this is closer to the 3-2-1 stuff in what I had, so this made perfect sense. Next slide. Um, this is good. This is really good. Next slide. Um, yeah, this was fascinating. This is really good. Next slide. Um, yeah, very good. Very good. I this for me, this is really good because I'm seeing the um, learning factory methodology aligning with the 3-2-1 methodology that I'm looking for. So this was good. Next slide. Um, yeah, I'll have to study this a little bit more, but I've seen versions of this. This looked really, really good. Again, I'm really happy to see stuff like this because I know from an industrial engineering standpoint, industrial and systems engineering, this is really good exercises uh, for both you as students and the Learning Factory methodology. And I think the rest of this is fine too with me. I understood everything here. I don't think I had any questions. Um, okay. Um, all good. Oh, this one right here on the one of the things that if you go back to the weekly sprints, um, I think it, yeah, I'm sorry, the one that says 3-5, so it's the next one. Yeah, sorry. Um, okay, so that's 3-5 is today. Um, it says build out the best startup ideas. Um, I did see some really interesting startup ideas, but this one I just wanted to spend a little bit of time. I put some stuff in the Slack as well, but from my perspective, these startup ideas are really, really key. So it seems a little premature to say we're done with section 2.3 and 2.4 on 3.5. That's something that I think should be running right up to the very end. Um, and let me explain what I mean here. Um, this is kind of like a divide and conquer thinking. Okay, we got this to do, we got this to do, we got this to do. So let's do it, do it, do it, do it. And that's not the way student CEOs think. And I hope Kanika will back me up on this. Yes, you do have stuff to do in each of those sections, so it's good to have a sprint for each of those. But really, to help the client, to help ISSIP, it's those startup ideas that have to be quantitative and realistic. And I did put into the Slack that the two ways to think about that are short term and long term. Short term, you know, each week, if there's some improvement to the quantitative realistic business model, like maybe one of you one week discovers, hey, that Cal AI example that Jim put into the Slack, I just found two other student CEO um, uh, examples that are even more closely related to the industry academic space than the Cal AI one. So we can take those examples of successful student CEO projects and integrate those into our AI digital worker prompt to get even better business model canvases for realistic quantitative startup ideas. So the student CEO mindset is like, if the most important thing to the client is these startup ideas, we're gonna be continuously improving those every week. um, so that's the one comment I'll have on this. The other thing is, what would long-term success look like? Well, long-term success would look like um, these startup ideas are so realistic that some student would actually implement them and create a startup. So I put those comments into the Slack, and again, you'll see I'm kind of on a theme here that the old way of working, where you do divide and conquer, is going away. I think that's going away. It's about it's much more in the future with your AI digital workers. It's much more, you're learning to use your digital workers, you're learning to talk to each other to select the best ideas, and you're learning to talk to me, the client, with the best ideas that are coming out of what you're doing. So that um, mindset of that step, you know, uh, digital workers talking to each other, talking to the client, those are where I hope you're going to learn new skills that are going to be helpful for your future. And I did see in, I think it was Carolyn, sorry, Carolyn did a new appendix. I think it was Appendix E, that looked at what was hard and what was easy for you. Carolyn, that was fantastic, and it was exactly what I'm talking about here, is shifting into that student CEO mindset. What is hard? What is easy? That's learning for me, the client. That gets me really excited when you say this is hard, this is easy. Um, and I think the hardest thing I'm seeing is that the divide and conquer mindset of, the siloed academic mindset of, we do things in silos, we divide and conquer, is very strong. Uh, and that somehow, I don't want to say tearing that down, but shifting into the new mindset is what I'm excited about, and that's what I'd love to see a little bit more reflected than this kind of linear schedule. Um, do I have a better idea than that? No, I mean, what you've got here is fine. It's traditional, but it doesn't really reflect that student CEO thinking. Um, so something for us to figure out together. I think if you go to the next slide, I think we're almost through all of this. Yeah. Okay. I think we're done. Those are my feedbacks. Overall, if you're looking for a thumbs up, yes, I think your beta prototype was successful. I think you're all learning the skills that I'd like you to come up. I'm seeing it reflected in some of the documents you're sharing. Um, and happy to hear from Srinivas and Sharika. What are your thoughts?
So I think solid progress on the white paper. So I'm reviewing the already become a pretty big document. So I will have more comments in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, what really stood out to me was that um, you all are starting to quantify and systematize um, the process of using the AI tools in the way that you have. So where you categorize the errors that that the tools were making, and one, the fact that you kind of labeled those errors was helpful. And then the fact that you counted up those errors was helpful as well. So good to see that um, you're working on the process in a way that not only gets this paper done, but also kind of provides a framework for working with these agents in an ongoing basis. So that's good to see. And then I do hear the comments, Jim, around shifting to a mindset that's a bit more meta. So
Mm.
you're not only going through the process, but thinking about how to be reflexive on the process itself. Um, it is, those are new muscles to kind of grow. So that's something that we can continue to pay attention to, really thinking about how to not only do the work, but actually step outside of the work and reflect on how the work is evolving, how it impacts you, because those reflections are very insightful. Um, so thank you for that feedback, Jim, and we'll keep working on that.
Great, great. I think we're at the end of time. Any other questions, though? I have time if there's any questions or other comments. I'm just curious if anybody did look at the Cal AI example and if there was any learnings that anybody got out of that. I mean, it was basically two students who started a startup 2 years later. They sold it for 30 million. So that was kind of interesting. Did anybody have a chance to look at that and take away any learnings from it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it was great. It's definitely a great case study, particularly to give to the AIs. And I looked at the Claude one, and it's really great. Like it would look like a professional deliverable from like a consulting company.
Yeah.
So that's scary for me.
Yeah, it was quite good. I think, yeah, it was fun. It's the kind of thing that if I'm an executive in industry today and I'm starting to see like popcorn, these students are creating these startups and it's like they're being acquired for tens of millions of dollars. And I'm an executive in industry and I'm not working with you student CEOs. What's wrong with me? That's the kind of thinking I think that will help the AI CoLab is and the Learning Factory is, you know, if you as students are seeing other examples of these successful student CEOs where the mantra is acquired, not hired, my goal is to be acquired, not hired. Um, it's interesting for multiple reasons, right? It's going to change the mindset of the industry people. Like, I better start working with these students because they're doing amazing things. But it's also data. Each example, why did I ask my digital workers to create a business model canvas for Cal AI? Each of the workers created as you said, Max. The Claude one was the best, I thought too. Um, but that's data. So every time you're working with an industry client, you can give examples of successful student CEO startups. These ones are real in the world. They worked. And that's data for your AI digital workers to start creating even better pathways for student CEOs to create things. Now, the thing that I took away from that Cal AI one was it was kind of brilliant in a sense. What they did is there was an app for counting calories. And it was, it's out there, and I think it was like $30 a month. You could pay for this app where you enter your calories and you can watch your weight and stuff like that. They came out with $10 a month, and it used an AI system. So you didn't have to enter the stuff manually. You just pointed at your food and click, and it counts the calories. So it's easier to use. It's half the price. And then they went on a viral marketing campaign where they got the top influencers on weight loss on, I can't remember if it was TikTok or some platform, to use their thing and show their people. They had 15 million downloads in like uh, you know 2 years or something like this. So it was an amazing success for a student CEO. And then they got acquired by the big company that says, "Oh gosh, we should have thought of this. They used AI to do the data entry, and we didn't think of this, and they undercut us in price. So let's acquire them so we can we can benefit from their startup. So that's a pathway, right? There are other pathways in some of the other student CEO things. Some of them go open source and create an open source community. So all of these different pathways can start feeding into the business models of the student CEOs. And eventually, the student CEOs with the mantra, acquired, not hired, become so powerful a force that industry cannot ignore you anymore. Industry will be saying, I got to get to the PSU Learning Factory because there's all these great student CEOs over there, and I just got to have them. They got to be working for me on my problems. All right. I think that's enough for today, but great work, team. Thank you for pursuing this and trying to shift out of the old mindset into the new mindset. Hopefully, we're all learning and having fun.
Yeah, so I don't remember if I emailed you this or not, but next week is our spring break. So we won't have a meeting next week. So then we'll resume. I think it's the 19th or the 19th, yeah.
Thanks. Thanks very much for the reminder, Julian. I'll go in and just make sure that we don't have that on the calendar. And
Okay.
thank you so much. I just did a survey for the Learning Factory, and the one thing I said, they said, is there any way we can improve this? And I said, just make sure we know when there's weeks that the students aren't going to be around. Because that helps a lot just in scheduling and stuff. So thanks, Julian, for pointing that out. All right. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.